So when you get to 60, you still don't quite know what is going on. You're still learning about the game. As I said, you get someone from your guild member. Just pay them a small amount of gold. A lot of times they'll do it free for you. There are actually a lot of nice people in this game, and there's so many not so nice people in this game. So what you want to do is craft them. So you can go for any other type of gear. There's so many gear choices that you want, but people kind of forget they don't, they can provide you with different types of stats. So for me personally, this is what I'd run with when you get to 160. Is Ancient Dragon Guard as your on there. So you wouldn't have your monster helms yet, so you could farm for those. So Ancient Dragon Guard is really useful, especially because it's you wear it on mag or stamina. And the fifth piece bonus is the same fifth piece as the popular old sets Julianus and Hunning's Rage. So in that side of it, that's kind of covered, but this one gives you the resource that you need. So health, so for soloing a lot, useful. Damage and crit. So that includes your healing and your damage, overall damage. But what's good about this is that, especially when you go down to lower health, is it will increase your resistance. Especially when you're soloing, or if you go into a dungeon for the first time and you're taking a lot of damage, and the group composition is very peculiar because people queue in with roles that they're not really that role. So on that side of it, very useful. Now for me, when it comes to building gear, you want to go for one resource, damage, recovery, and then everything else becomes like extra. So this kind of covers both. So the next one is Spell Parasite. So as you can see there, resource. So you got your damage, you got your max Magika, and then you got the Magika. So every 0.25 seconds you get Magika back. So you get 236 Magika per second. So that's useful on that side of it. So I mean there are other sets like this one here, but they can go for full recovery. But you have to remember, in this game, damage is king generally. So the faster you kill something, the less mechanics you deal with. So you can go for other like Willow's paths, so you can get more resource. But as you can say, this has more damage overall. So depending on if you're magic or stamina, I just put max Magika on this one. Put 4 divines, apart from 2 piece infused to get the more resource. The damage overall is like 1% between divines and infused, so it's not going to really matter too much. So the big piece, head, chest, and legs, you want them. Those are the pieces that you want infused. The rest divines, they'll give you the same value. Now the neck and the jewelry, I just literally made greens. It's not going to make that much difference in total. So I put 2 recovery and 1 damage, and I put them all arcane because you want more resource. Now the front bar and the back bar, you can have whichever one you want on here. I personally have Stoons, so that'll give you the damage. It's in the front bar. You want to do more damage. Put precise, that'll give you more damage. The enchant, you could put whichever enchantment you want. For me, I just like the shield, especially if you're soloing. That damage shield, even though it's 3000, it could save you. Now on the back bar, lightning, infused, you want this infused, so your weapon damage enchant is higher value. So this will provide you with damage and also healing. So that's the gear. So I know there's hundreds of different combinations, but personally this is more universal, and it'll give you better overall stats, I would say, especially when it comes to soloing. In this video, especially at the start of the series, I'll just give an example of me soloing a dungeon in normal with this gear, especially when you've just turned 160, and also soloing world bosses. And then what this does is it allows you then to start farming for overlands and dungeon sets. So, and in the series, I'll go through the next step of what to farm, locations for magic and stamina, and then after this, in the next series, then during the series, I'll show you like the PvP with the battlegrounds, trial gear, and then some cheese builds really. So just give an example. Popular set, go to the Shan, go to public dungeons, or go to here is you farm Mother Sorrow, which is like the popular, pretty much meta set for the past few expansions now, for Magika builds anyway. So this gear setup that we've just got allows you to do this at the maximum efficiency really, to start farming them, and then you can start getting yourself ready for endgame. Now, especially with Mother Sorrow, I'd recommend you go into the far right, go to this way shrine, or make you. There's a quest here. It literally takes like less than 5 minutes. Pick up the quest, and then what they'll do is they'll give you a lightning staff for Mother Sorrow for free. So, which you'll probably end up using at one point. So yeah. So that's one of the main aims on that side of it. So when it comes to CP, you've only got 160, so you can there's so many different setups for this, so depending on what you do. For me, I've got my PvP setup, CP setup, so you can just play around with that, what you need. When you're Magika, do you want to get Arcanist up? So that's the main thing that you want to get up really, and then the rest, depending on how you do it. If you block a lot or you roll dodge a lot. For PvP, a lot of people, you need to break free because there's a lot of stuns, and then the CP tree, depending on if you're Magika, stamina onto there, and resistance if you need a lot of shield. PvP wise, resistance, this overall, as you can see, there's so many guides on this side of it, but you won't really have a lot to start off with when you're 160, so you don't have to really worry about it too much, because overall you'll probably end up changing it. So if you're doing a lot of solos, I'd probably recommend putting a lot of points into light armor focus, ironclad, and so these ones there, so put a small percentage of each one. Okay, so that is the first video of the series, guys. So the next one will be non-trial gear, so overland and dungeon sets, what to farm, where to farm them, and why. Yeah, so thanks for watching the video, and I'll say see you in the next video. Cheers.